Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for being here with us today. Have you ever gone through something painful, maybe a heartbreak, a job loss, or a sudden illness, and someone tried to comfort you by saying, "Everything happens for a reason"? Maybe you've said it to yourself during tough times. There's something deeply soothing about those words. They promise order in a chaotic world, meaning in suffering, and a sense of destiny in randomness. But is this phrase just a comforting lie, or is there some deeper truth to it? Today, we are going to explore this powerful idea, breaking it down through philosophy, science, spirituality, and real-life experiences to find out if everything really does happen for a reason, or if the truth is something even more profound. To begin, we have to understand why people are so drawn to this belief. It's not just a Western thing. Across the world, and throughout history, people have turned to some version of this idea when life becomes painful or confusing. In many religious traditions, the notion that life unfolds according to a divine plan is central. Christianity teaches that God has a purpose for everything. Islam similarly holds that Allah's will governs all things. Hinduism introduces the concept of karma, where every action has consequences, tying your current experience to your past deeds and your future to your present behavior. In Buddhism, there's the idea of dependent origination. Things happen not randomly, but because of specific conditions. Even in non-religious settings, people often believe in fate or destiny, or they talk about the universe having a plan. Why is this idea so comforting? Because life is unpredictable and often unfair. Babies die, natural disasters strike, people we love are taken from us far too soon. We lose our jobs, our health, our sense of security. In the face of this chaos, our brains crave order. We are storytelling creatures. We don't just experience life, we narrate it, searching for patterns, causes, and conclusions. Saying that everything happens for a reason helps us turn pain into narrative. It lets us believe that suffering is not just random cruelty, but part of something bigger, something meaningful. But this belief is not without its critics. Philosophers, psychologists, and theologians have all questioned it. Is it really helpful to believe that every event, no matter how horrific, has a purpose? Or does this belief cause more harm than good? Think of someone who loses a child to cancer. Telling them that it happened for a reason might offer temporary comfort, but it can also be deeply offensive. It can imply that their loss was necessary or deserved, that their pain serves some cosmic function. This can silence grief, prevent healing, and isolate those who are suffering. Philosopher Susan Neiman wrote that the idea of everything happening for a reason can actually be dangerous. It can be used to justify injustice. Slavery happened for a reason, genocide, war. If we say yes to that, we risk erasing the suffering of victims and excusing the behavior of perpetrators. Neiman argues that we should resist this kind of fatalism and instead accept that some things are just wrong, some things are senseless, and our job is not to rationalize them but to respond to them with action, compassion, and a commitment to change. At the same time, there's another side to this story. Even if events don't happen for a reason, humans have the power to find reason in events. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, wrote in his book Man's Search for Meaning that we cannot always choose our circumstances, but we can choose how we respond to them. In the concentration camps, Frankl saw unimaginable suffering. Yet he believed that even in the worst conditions, people could find meaning. Not because their suffering was meant to be, but because they chose to make it meaningful. This is a powerful distinction. Meaning is not something we are given, it's something we create. Let's look at some real-life stories to explore this further. Take the example of someone who was in a terrible car accident and became paralyzed. At first, it was devastating. But over time, They found new purpose, becoming an advocate for disability rights, inspiring others with their resilience. Did the accident happen for a reason? Probably not. But they gave it reason. They took something painful and turned it into something powerful. Another example, a woman goes through a messy divorce. It shatters her sense of self. She feels lost, but in that emptiness, she rediscovers who she is. She goes back to school, starts a new career, finds joy in her independence. Years later, she looks back and says, "It was the best thing that ever happened to me." Did the divorce happen for a reason? That's debatable. But it became the reason for her transformation. Psychological lie. This is known as post-traumatic growth. It's the idea that people can emerge from suffering stronger, wiser, more compassionate. It's not guaranteed. Not everyone experiences it, and it doesn't mean the pain was worth it. But it shows that meaning can be born from hardship, even if the hardship wasn't meant to be. Now let's look at how science approaches this topic. Neuroscience tells us that our brains are wired for meaning-making. We have something called the default mode network, a set of brain regions that activate when we are not focused on the outside world, when we are daydreaming, remembering, or imagining the future. This network is deeply involved in constructing our sense of self and our life narrative. That means that even if events are random, our brain will try to fit them into a story. This is part of what makes us human, but it also means we need to be careful, because sometimes the stories we tell ourselves are not helpful. Sometimes they blame us for things that weren't our fault, or they keep us stuck in victimhood, or they give us false hope that the universe will make it up to us if we just stay positive. This is where mindfulness and therapy come in. Mindfulness teaches us to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment. It doesn't ask us to believe that everything happens for a reason, but it does invite us to be present with whatever is happening and to respond with compassion. Therapy can help us rewrite our stories in ways that are empowering rather than limiting. It doesn't erase pain, but it helps us carry it with more grace. Let's go back to the phrase itself. Everything happens for a reason. What if we rephrased it? What if we said, everything that happens can be a teacher, or meaning can be made from anything? Or even, life is unpredictable, but I can choose how to respond. These versions don't deny pain. They don't erase randomness, but they give us agency. They acknowledge our power not to control the world, but to shape our experience of it. And now, some people will still hold to the belief that everything really does happen for a reason, that there is a divine plan, or a karmic balance, or a soul contract written before birth, and that's okay. For many, this belief brings peace, strength, and purpose. The key is to hold that belief with humility, to recognize that we don't always get to see the reason, that not everything is about us, that sometimes the best thing we can do is simply sit with someone in their pain and say, I don't know why this happened, but I'm here. Let me share one final story. A man loses his son to a rare illness. He's devastated. For years, he asks why. He gets no answer, but eventually, he starts a foundation in his son's name. It funds research. It helps other families. He says, I don't believe my son died for a reason, but I believe I can give his life and death a reason, and that's enough. That is perhaps the most honest, the most human, the most hopeful thing we can say. Life is not fair. It is not predictable. It does not always make sense, but in the face of that, we can still choose love. We can still choose meaning. We can still choose to show up for each other, not with easy answers, but with open hearts. Thank you for watching this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Has there been a moment in your life that made you question whether everything happens for a reason? Have you found meaning in unexpected places? Share your story in the comments below. Let's create a space where people can be honest, heard, and supported. And if you found this video valuable, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It helps us reach more people and keep these conversations going. Until next time, stay compassionate, stay strong, and remember, you may not always control what happens, but you always have the power to shape what it means.